Hi, I'm John Storms, and starting another project today. So today I am starting the GE XLS 450 flake, and I am not exactly starting from scratch. We have put the flake together, and we have put the various mounts on. We mapped out the pixels because I was dumb enough not to buy the flake with the mapping already drawn on. I bought two more, and those should have it on it. But planning out the power and such. So for starters, this is what I'm planning on. I went through a few scenarios of what I might do for power, but I kind of like this one. So I'm going to do, it's 450 pixels total, which comes out to 6 amps. Um, and with 450 pixels, I'm not entirely comfortable doing a single power injection point. I did do some tests, and it looks like a single power injection point like this works, but I worry about over time overstressing the pixels. So I think I'm just going to bite the bullet and do two power injection points, which will easily give me plenty plenty of power across the prop. So anyway, um, so what I'm going to do with this one first is I was gonna just double check my math here. So what I was gonna do is I was gonna set the prop up in XLights first. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to controllers. I'm gonna say change temporarily, and let's see. I'm going to go to not here, C drive here, and projects. And this is a GE project, and I created a directory for it, GE XLS 450. So I am adding 3 of these to my display this year. All right. So under layout in XLights, I'm going to go to the create new download button. And then I'm just going to draw a square there. And now I go find my snowflake. So it's not Boscoyo. It's under Gilbert. Not an arch, not a bulb, not a candle. It is a flake. Here it is, XLS 450. I insert the model. Okay. And this one's 450 nodes, so that will all fit on one port, so I don't need to do multiple strings. So I'm going to go over back to the controllers tab. And let's see, I'm going to add Ethernet, vendor, Falcon, F16V4, the IP address. And this is the controller I'm using for testing. Is that. And I go to visualize. See, I have my 450 here. So I'm going to drop that onto port 2 here. And it all fits on one. Now, one of the cool things here, right now, let's see, set brightness. So I'm going to set the brightness to 30%. Now, if I hover on this, one of the things it says estimated current draw 7.43 amps. I think that's a little high. My number had me at 6 amps. So, they're using a little different math, but the thing is, if I split this across two different power injection points, I can easily handle. I can easily handle 7.43. I could handle up to 10 across two ports. So definitely feel comfortable doing that. I think doing it all off of one would have been too much. So let me close that down and save that. Let me go to the layout. Let's see. Description. Let me add a description here. So this is the GE XLS 450. Okay. Save that. And while I'm here, I'm going to export the model because I'm going to need it later in the process. Exports XLights model, and there it is. Oh, well, I want everything. Wonder why it unchecked that. Okay. All right, so that is the model. So now let's go. Let's go play with the power. Make sure that the power injection works. All right, so here we have all the pixels hooked up that I'm going to use in the GE XLS 450. I have 450 pixels here. Right now I have them cycling RGB because even though I've tested these lights before, I'm looking for bad pixels, and they're pretty easy to pick out like this. So here I have these pixels connected to port 2 of my controller, which is currently doing the RGB test pattern. And on those first 2 ports of this controller, you can see the red cable, the red wire is disconnected, meaning I am not powering the pixels from the controller at all. It's all coming from here, my box that's housing the power supplies. So I come in over data. I got a 20-foot extension cable because that's what I like to test with. Then I go 150 pixels to my first power injection point right there. So that power injection point feeds power this way, and it feeds power that way. Okay? And I'm running at 30% brightness, and typically, you can run 200 pixels pretty safe. With 450, I tried to find the optimal breakup. So here I'm getting data, but no power. So all the power is coming this way. And then, of course, the power injection runs both ways, so it also goes this direction. So then I have 115 more pixels. I could go further, but I'm just trying to get it evenly spaced for balance. And then I have a power injection point here. And again, it's providing power that way and power this way. So think of it like, it's spigots, and I'm just trying to keep the level as even as possible. And on this side, I have another 150. So I did test it out with one power injection point, and it did fine. But just to be on the safe side, I'm worried over time I could stress things out. So I put in 2. All right, white. So this is an important one. We want to test with white, especially when we're testing our power setup, because we want to make sure that we're not seeing any flickering or anything like that. So that's white. I'm going to do white ramp, and we're watching for flicker. They look really good. A little tiny bit of flicker on the very end of the curve there, but not bad at all. Okay. Just flip them over a little bit, just make sure everything is good. Nothing weird going on. No bad pixels, no weird colors. I tend not to burn my pixels in for hours and hours and hours. If I'm in a meeting at work, I might let them run in the background for an hour or so maybe, because they're pretty. But usually, if there's going to be a bad pixel, it usually manifests itself pretty quick, or it just takes a while. And unfortunately, those happen too, but not too often. I had this past season, the 2023 season, I had one bad pixel for the whole show. That wasn't too bad. So yeah, so this is the power layout I'm gonna use. So the next step is to push these into the actual prop. Okay, so when we actually went to assemble the Snowflake, it worked out a lot better to change the power injection point. So this is an addendum to what the original plan was. So instead of having the last power injection point before the last 3 strings, I moved it before the last 2 strings. Makes very, very little difference in the grand scheme of things, because at 30%, you can typically go 200 pixels. but it worked out just fine. The other way divided a little better just when I was doing the straight math, but when I was actually putting the flake together and pushing the pixels where the connections were, it was better, easier to do it before the last two strands. So that's what we did.